Well, the best way to do it is from a computer that you didn't buy from a store, and then to pull up outside of a coffee shop, jack into their network, and use something like a Gmail account, because then there's almost no way for them to track it back.
Depends. And I don't want to sound too mysterious here, but I'm saying, well, the technology is pretty far advanced, so a lot of the stuff that we read in the newspaper about capabilities is not all there is to it. Only because how to do this is so valuable is that it's just not going to come out. And so one of the things that one of our critiques of WikiLeaks is that they're blowing sunshine about the protection they offer their sources. I happen to have looked at their site a lot and watched it over the years, and it's completely leaky. Their site is a consumer-grade snake oil about protection. Julian Assange, who's very skilled in this, probably knows that. The thing is that only a person who's been at this for several years knows what's wrong with it. But so I call it a consumer-grade protection. But it's not something that would ever keep an expert from getting into their stuff and tracing it. But experts never tell you what they're doing because that's too valuable to keep it to themselves. And so WikiLeaks now, it's quite possible that WikiLeaks has another site that they handle very sensitive stuff. And this consumer grade is just for consumer stuff. And that, as you know, intelligence agencies have multiple ways they move communication, including all the phony ways. So one of the things I'm intrigued with WikiLeaks is whether they actually think that their site, because they have page after page after page of the ways that they protect people. And that's the usual sign of snake oil, actually. You're over-promising. And I don't know why they're doing that, actually. Because it doesn't make sense to security experts to go on at length this way, because it's a sure sign of deception.
Well, you know, the Army officer that reportedly gave him that video, he didn't get protected too well, but the word is he shot his mouth off.
Well, you often see those stories. It's what I call the lost laptop story. It's called a misleading story about how it happened. And so there are a number of subterfuges out to cover up how people are actually traced. And some of you say, my God, how could they have been so stupid? Well, how did someone get drunk in a bar and lose a laptop? And so lost laptops are something of a joke as a reason for orchestrated leaks. So we actually don't know yet. By the way, WikiLeaks is aware of this. They're cautious about the reality of the Bradley Manning ploy. And so that they've never owned up that this is a legitimate story.
Well, we can also get a bird's eye view into what's really happening here by the way the media responds, analyzing the way they're putting these reports out, the angles they're going with this story. At your preliminary investigation, at your gut level, from decades of researching this, Mr. Young, what do you think is really going on here?
A willing suspension of disbelief. That many of these reporters are not technically adept about information security, and they so much want a heroic person like Assange that he's just working them like Madoff does. So there's I call it media entertainment. He's a very entertaining guy. And
now, wait a minute. First you're saying you think they're trying to do a good job and you don't want to bash him, and now you're comparing him to Madoff.
What I'm saying is that he's doing a good job of promotion of WikiLeaks. He's media savvy. He's a very photogenic guy. He's a good performer. He's got a side that looks very appealing to someone who's not very technically adept. And so he's a showman. And that's what skilled fraudsters are good at.
All right, well, here's my concern.
Uh-huh.
Here's my concern. I think, and callers have broached this as well, that they're going to use this to, quote, have a gatekeeper and the whole echelon NSA takeover of the web. In fact, they're already actually saying that, oh, because this classified stuff keeps getting out on the web, we've got to have everything go through a gatekeeper first. And that's the way that the establishment is going to announce the fact that everything's already going through a gatekeeper.
That certainly seems to be in the works. But having lived for 500 years, there's an answer to that. There's always another answer to that. And so I can say this about WikiLeaks, is I think they've kicked the ball down the road a little bit further, that I think that they have potentially exposed some communication vulnerabilities that will be closed. And new ones will come along, and there'll be people who come along after WikiLeaks learning from their experience. I'm certainly learning from them.
All right, stay there. Stay there. Final segment with John Young of Cryptome.org. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. Stay with us. Remember 5 years ago, a couple hundred photos from Abu Ghraib got released. It turned out that Congress was given 1 day by the Pentagon, I guess because the Pentagon's the boss of Congress. Everything's backwards, to look at thousands of videos and photos. And they admitted it showed children being raped, tortured. And a lot of evidence showed that those photos were actually leaked by the government because they knew that more of this stuff was about to come out as a way to whitewash it. And they released some of the more tame abuse that was going on that could kind of be laughed off. I mean, I've seen so many confirmed reports of torture, people being killed, massacres in Afghanistan. And now you see all this stuff coming out. Look, I don't know the truth about WikiLeaks. And I think they've done a lot of good work. I mean, a lot of the stuff I've seen them put out, I guarantee you the Pentagon's not happy about, and they've confirmed it's real. So I guess this is a hall of mirrors that we're in, but time will tell. John Young from Cryptome, any other points you want to add along this line?
That's about it, Alex.
Overall, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but early on you did work with WikiLeaks some, correct?
Yep, for a month.
And then what made you pull out?
Well, is that they said they're going to raise $5 million the first year. And I said, you can only do that by corrupt means or by governments funding you. And I don't want to be part of anything like that. You got to establish credibility first. So they kicked me off the list. And I still think that's what they're up to. I think they're going to monetize this operation and start selling stuff on the black market if they're not already doing it, or selling it to the news media, or selling it to other governments. It's a honeypot. But it's also a potential black market operation. And so I'm just saying that's what it looks like to me from the outside. You go there and you look and you see this, and if you don't suspend disbelief, it stinks.
Well, that's what Madsen says. Of course, he worked with the NSA and others. He's made connections to Soros and others, and he says they want to make Iceland kind of a backwater where they can selectively decide what they want to release. Basically like Karl Rove burning the ambassador and the CIA people, that this is a way to fence that information out.
Well, and the issue here comes back to the fact that we don't actually know who they are or how they operate or what the money is or anything else. And so their lack of, and I hate the term transparency because it's terribly abused these days, but we don't actually know what they're up to. So that just looking at what they say, they certainly behave like fraudsters. And so I'll just say, look at the obvious. They're not behaving like trustworthy people. Trustworthy people are not this cautious. They don't exaggerate their accomplishments. They don't lie about who they are and what they're up to. They don't withhold this information. But people are up to no good do exactly that.
And you're saying WikiLeaks has done that? I mean, at the start of the interview, you said that you thought they were trying to do some good things.
Well, I'm saying is that the intent of putting out documents without going through authoritative sources is a noble goal. But the way they're operating makes you wonder, why is this being done? So
you're saying you smell a rat.
Well, I'm saying is the documents are to be trusted. They are not. And this last few months where they shut down the site and gone on a PR campaign and fundraising campaign, all the documents have stopped. And now they come out with digital documents, which are typically fraudulent. They still haven't put out reliable documents in 6 months. And I don't know why they've done that. Well,
John Young, I know you've got integrity. I've watched you for more than a decade, and your great work to keep the Internet free and open.
And you too.
Well, thank you, sir. And I appreciate you coming on with these tough questions. We respect your opinion. I'm going to be neutral on this because, I'll be quite frank, I'm in over my head. But we're glad we've got you here to confer with us so we can try to, over time, figure out what's happening. But we really appreciate you and all your work.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Take care.
You bet. We're going to come right back with Wayne Madsen, hour number 3, 70 seconds away.